All right. You guys got the updates from the constable in your,
That would have been
that was
at the top of your
pre-handled, right?
packet. Yep.
All right. And that was the one where we had all the court stuff?
Yep, he gave a documentation of the different court cases, and then he gave his report for the citations or warnings that were issued.
Do you know how to read this, Brian? Does that mean that paid, total paid is what was paid or what is going on their tax bill?
So total due, total paid. So the balance that's still, we still have to get is.
Oh,
the
that's
last-
outstanding?
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's a good sign. We're getting the money back from issuing citations. Anybody have any questions or comments on that? I did receive another complaint that I took over to Josh, and I see he's got it logged on his other papers, so.
Josh or Brandon?
I'm sorry, to Brandon. Yes, thank you, Brian. And we still have that fence dispute. Okay. Anybody else comment? All right, let's move on. Building inspector, Josh sent a report. There we go. Oh, I got the right guy.
Can I go back?
Yes, sir.
So on this sheet here, the Bell Road property line dispute.
Yeah,
So I know the sheriff's department been inundated with complaints. And I've been told by my administration about probably more stuff coming down on our end.
okay,
Because they're sick of dealing with it too.
okay.
So I don't know how much information or
I
how involved you are in it at all.
know both of the gentlemen. What's going on is more that one of the neighbors put a fence up, but he didn't put it up on his own property. He put it up on his neighbor's property next to the gentleman that's complaining. So the gentleman that's complaining says that his neighbor put up a fence and it's ugly and it's on his property. And the reality is it's not on his property, but it's not on his neighbor's property either. So it's kind of past that. It's actually a civil
Sounds like
dispute. It's not really the town's issue because it's, so, okay. Anything else, Brian?
No, that was it.
Okay, if we get involved, we'll get involved, but at this point, I don't really see us getting involved. All right, I did have a paper from Josh. There we go. Thank you. 5 permits, 1 shed, 1 electrical, and 3 heating. The heating, I bet you burns this.
Mm.
Yeah. Bit cold out there. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, moving on, zoning administrator. I've been working with, I'll speak as a zoning administrator. I've been working with the plan commission. They have requested a couple things to be brought forward to the town board, which is on the agenda for tonight. We also are as a zoning administrator, I'm assisting the planning commission in correcting the zoning. Every year, it should be gone through and corrected from things that come up throughout the year. So they're working on that, and I've received some calls from the ATC, which is the transmission line that's coming in and enlarging the electrical lines to help with the capacity that the solar fields are bringing in. We've had a couple large business people approach us and seeing what can be done in the town of Saratoga. So that's promising. And I think that's about it as zoning administrator, other than complaints and questions on if I buy land, what can I do with it, that type of thing. So, anybody have any questions for me as a zoning administrator? Okay. Moving on, road crew, Caston, you're here.
Everything's going good by us. We're still waiting on that tractor. Sounds like we're waiting on parts to get that tractor loader back to us.
Okay.
I believe that was with the rear,
The rear seals,
the rear seals. or
Well, the-
hydraulics.
the rear hydraulic.
Yeah. And I believe that's the last thing we're waiting on for it, parts for that.
Okay,
Everything else is going good. Roads are amazing. No ice, no snow left on them. They're beautiful.
hey, do we plow, that county line road, the gravel road in between Rome and us?
So the east side was plowed today. The west side will be plowed tomorrow.
Okay, good. I went down it.
Yeah, it was a little rough.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. And I have a four-wheel drive truck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
All right. Plan commission, Josh, you're up.
You brought up zoning, we're working on the zoning ordinance yet. Just going through that, we're about, I would say 2/3 of the way through that. Item number 9 and 10 on our agenda tonight, the stuff that we've been working on. I had an inquiry as to why we don't, record our plan commission meeting.
Okay.
Is that something that we should discuss recording, or?
It's up to you. You're the boss.
I guess I haven't answered that question yet, but my only thought was we're a recommendation board that all, and our decisions aren't necessarily final. It comes to the board anyway, so, but if other people feel that meeting should be recorded, I guess we could consider that. I don't have a thought one way or another, if I could ask the rest of the plan commission their thoughts, but being a recommendation board, I didn't know if we needed to or not.
I don't think it'd be that hard. We meet in
Yeah,
here.
all the equipment's there, it's just a
Yeah.
matter of doing it.
Okay, yeah, keep us informed, please.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Any questions? All right. Clerk, Paulette.
So I got information today from Wood County. They had asked that we share that the Wood County Parks and Forestry Department is looking for public input on parks, recreations, and open spaces. So if you want, go to their website, there should be a link there to access the survey. And that's up through March 2nd. We did have hail damage on the heaters for the town hall, so I am waiting to meet with the adjuster. So with snow on the roof and ice on the ground, we haven't gotten that taken care of yet. And then we just finished another election yesterday, so.
When he's up there, maybe we can mention to him that if the hail damage is on the furnaces or the air conditioning units, it's probably on the roof too.
Right.
So he could probably take a
Right.
look at that.
Actually, they will double check all that. We put that in the report.
Pardon?
We put that in the report to have them check all that.
Perfect. So he
Check
knows
the
to
roof.
check. He's gonna-
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Anybody else? Okay, Billy Joe, you're up. Treasurer.
Tax collection is complete.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness, yes. And we have over 400 dogs licensed already for 2025, so just under 400 left to license. So letters, because taxes is done with collection for first installment, Wood County has already sent out their letters to residents who have not paid or paid less than their first installment. So that's already went out to the residents.
Thanks. I did have a interesting phone call today. A gentleman passed away in our town and he had 25 to 50 cats. And someone is now feeding them and getting them neutered and spayed or whatever they do to cats. And the people want to purchase this and turn it into a cat house. very interesting concept and something I'm kind of worried about, but,
What do you mean turn it into?
yeah, build a
like it
building
already
just
is.
to house cats is from what I understand, but, yeah, follow that along with the Humane Society and
Yeah.
I'll see what goes on there.
Couple of babies.
Okay, any questions for Billy Joe? Okay, let's move on for announcements from the board members. Carl, we'll start with you.
I'm good.
You're good?
Good.
Chase?
Not this time, but it's not gonna get covered later anyways.
Okay, Josh?
I got nothing for you.
Brian?
Looked into a little bit on some stuff coming up already, about 9 and 10, for some people of the town. And then I also received a phone call about garbage cans. When flashbacks came through my head, but actually it was pretty recent, so I'll talk to, Paulette, I'll talk to you after the meeting about that, and then just, working with Brandon on just some other little things. That's it for me.
I am going to, I have one announcement and that's number 14, the Keller update information on the grounds and buildings. They are not going to be here because the information that we received was not any more than what we already knew. And just to recap to everyone, the town has hired a firm to help us determine what we should be doing with our infrastructure, with our buildings, if they're viable to keep and repair, if they should be torn down and we should consider rebuilding. And the reason we're doing it now is because we do have another solar array coming in and we have funds that will be coming into the town, which will not impact our taxes for our citizens, hopefully, with the remodeling or building new of any type of infrastructure for buildings here. So we're just doing some background searching and we will have an open house here at Town of Saratoga. We were thinking about May, was it April or May? One of those months, we're gonna have an open house. We'll let you all know. You're all invited to come and look at our buildings and see what we feel needs to be repaired or replaced and the reasons why. And then, of course, as Keller comes in and keeps us updated, we'll let everybody out here know and let everybody ask questions if they have any. So we have opened it to the Plan Commission and town board members to come and join in the meetings, and even the townspeople. You're more than welcome to come in and sit on the meetings. The next meeting is March 10th at the Plan Commission, I believe.
No, planning commission is 12, they're gonna come in the 10th.
Oh, the
So we
10th
can
is,
discuss before.
it's just another discussion. Sorry, it's just another discussion and you're more than welcome to come. It's here and it's at what time? 1 o'clock. So if you have something to say or some questions to ask, please come on in. All right, that's it for the information announcements from the board members. Approval of the previous minutes. You guys got the copy of the minutes. We were all here. Anybody see anything that you want to question?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for January 15th.
Okay, I have a motion by Chase. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
And I have a second by Brian to approve the minutes as written. All those in favor? Those against? Motion passed. All right. Discuss bids for the town insurance. Has everybody had a chance to read the proposal?
I have, on our proposal software that we dropped off here, it does not show our enhancements. I have them here. Would you guys like a copy of them?
What do you mean by enhancements?
So you have Business Advantage Plus, it states it out on the proposal that we dropped off. Then you have Equipment Breakdown, it states it out for a charge, and then it has Cyber. And here's all the full definitions of it.
Does it change the price or is it included?
It's included.
Then I would.
You want a copy of this?
It might help me understand it a little better.
Quite a bit of information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, I think before we have any discussion, maybe we'll let the two groups speak. So Michelle, Amy, I'm sorry, Amy.
That's okay.
So would you like to speak on behalf of Horton?
They can go first. I'm fine with that.
Go ahead.
Okay. First off, do you guys have any questions on that you would like me to address? Or do you want to wait for?
I'll
questions
wait
at
till
the
you're
end?
done. Wait till you're done, and then
Okay.
I'll ask my questions if you would, please.
So one, we support towns doing their due diligence and going out for bid. You need to know what you have, why you have it, and what it's costing you, and you need to keep us in check. I mean, that's the way business works. Our main concern is making certain that we're trying to make it easiest for you to compare apples to apples. As we all know, you can go to the dealership and you can look at a Ram 3500 and a Ford 350. And although they may do a lot of the same things, there are some unique differences between payload and towing and axles and things like that. And your insurance policy is really no different. And we want to make certain that you understand so that you can make the educated choice as to what coverage you have. And if you change coverage, what it's going to cost you so that and that's what the request for proposal document is designed to do. It's just designed to help you put checks and balances so that everyone is competing at the same level. And if we can't provide something, we're telling you why we can't provide it and what our option is. Your renewal has stayed relatively flat for the last few years. As a matter of fact, it's decreased this year. Well, actually, no, it decreased last year, increased slightly this year, but it stayed in line with the 3%. With the changes that you guys have been making to the policies, the premiums have really offset themselves. So we've increased the building values, we've increased your coverages on a lot of things. We increased your crime coverage, we added line of duty, accidental death. There's a few other things that we've added to the policy that really have kept it in line. Blanket building values, it is a policy blanket. It is not a location specific blanket. So that means that you have that policy level blanket at any of the locations. So if only one location has an issue, and instead of it being X amount of dollars there, you literally have the full 3.4 million at that one location. And that's for both personal property and property values. So buildings and personal property. So you don't have to keep an accounting of what is in the shop, what is in here, what's out at maybe some of the other locations. Most of your other locations are infrastructure, but we never know what gets added out there. It is replacement cost with no co-insurance penalty. Co-insurance is waived. So in the event that we have the blanket limit at 3.4, it's 3.5 or 4.5. We're not going to ding you for underinsuring it. There's no co-insurance provision. Do you understand co-insurance provisions? So is what your basic policy says is it's buried in the language way in the back that in order for you to get replacement costs, you need to insure it for the actual replacement cost at the time of a loss. If you choose not to, we are going to implement a co-insurance penalty, and I don't do math in my head very well, so we'll just give you an example. Co-insurance might be 50%. So if you had a $100,000 loss and so if you had a $200,000 loss and you insured it for $100,000, and you had a 50% co-insurance penalty, they're going to deduct your claim by $100,000 or 50%. So 50% is not a normal, it's usually 80, 90, or 100% co-insurance that's listed in your policy. There is no co-insurance, it's completely waived. You will get what you asked for. whatever that replacement cost is. And with the policy level blanket, if one building is slightly underinsured, you have the policy limit for that location. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
You have crime coverage included in the policy, your inland marine, your emergency service equipment is blanket guaranteed replacement cost. We actually don't ask for or don't keep track of an inventory. I know we ask you for a list, but that's so that we can come up with a rating purpose. Usually it's based off of a ambulance or a fire unit, and we don't have one, so we need to have a starting point. But it is truly replacement cost. Whatever that is at that moment, it's guaranteed replacement cost. You just have to tell us what was lost or damaged and it will get replaced. And so your commercial package is one premium. That is the 17,889. Then you also have a monoline $2 million cyber liability policy. With that, it comes with breach response, first party loss, liability, e-crime, criminal reward, and you have $1,000 retention on that. We have had multiple cyber and crime claims this year, all of them exceeding $50,000 in coverage. We have one cyber one. The defense expenses as of right now are a little over 6 figures just for forensic and IT to figure out what happened. And it was actually kind of funny because somebody's email, there was a hacker sitting in there, and when an invoice came in, they changed it so that the payment was to go to them and not to who was on the invoice. They changed the mailing address on the invoice. It looked completely, and it was inside their entire email system the whole time. So those are becoming more and more prevalent, which is why we say multi-factor authentication, especially. You have a notary bond and workers' comp.
Can you tell them about the dividend?
Oh, yeah, it's a dividend eligible. Due to losses, when we had moved you over, you were not eligible for dividends. You became eligible for dividends in 2021. The policy was moved. Dividends are always paid a year in arrears. It's a variable dividend that is based on claims experience, loss ratio, and premium paid. This year it was, I want to say just about 17% of your premium. So you received your 22, 23, and then you'll get your 23, 24 next year.
That's if you don't file a claim? Is that how
No,
it
you
works?
can file a claim. It's when your claims exceed your premium that the dividend goes away.
Okay. Well, that'll happen.
It hasn't in a few
Well, this year.
years.
Well, that's on.
No, just
workman's
workers'
comp.
comp.
Oh, that's just workman's comp?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, none of the other claims are, because they are weather related, the impact is pretty minimal. You're not penalized for weather related claims. So do you guys have any questions for me?
I do. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
Okay. So you have a public officials and management liability coverage. I understand that protects the town against someone defrauding us,
Actually, that protects the board members.
just the board members?
It's designed to protect the public officials. That's why it's the public officials and management liability. The management part of it is your employment practices liability and other things. It is designed to protect the board members in wrongful acts. As a matter of fact, I have one claim going on right now. The town published a levy, voted on it, was approved, went through the electors, everything else. The Department of Revenue said your levy was invalid, you need to return the money. Public officials is dropping down and providing defense coverage for that wrongful act and investigating it.
So that was done knowingly?
It was, they thought they were following the process and they thought they have done everything correctly. They don't think that they did anything intentionally or willfully. They thought that they followed the law, they followed the rules, they followed the regulations. You know, they did everything that they have done in the past for a levy. The department has saying, sorry, you didn't. We want you to refund the money or pay it back.
So the town pays $3,000 premium to protect the five of us against,
Including the employment practices liability, that's also included in there. Mhm.
what's employment practices?
Wrongful termination, harassment, discrimination, first and third party claims.
So this is all elected officials and full-time employees, all employees. It's
Oh,
across the
public
board.
officials,
Does this include appointed officials as well?
It does.
As to our planning commission?
It does.
but it doesn't include employees. It just
It-
says public officials and management.
The definition does include employees as well.
Not the way I read it.
If the employee is acting on behalf of the town. So in this case, the clerk is protected because she was the one that published everything. It is dropping down and providing defense coverage for the clerk as well. So yes, it does provide coverage for, and she is not an elected clerk.
Does she know that?
She does.
You're not elected.
No,
You just
I'm-
make it fun,
No,
'cause I'm-
she's
Oh.
she's talking about the other community.
Yeah, the other community. But I will pull the policy language and send it to you if you would like.
No, not for me. That's not necessary, no. Anybody else have any questions other than me? Hmm.
Inland Marina's replacement cost coverage, if you insure it to the actual replacement value, it replaces it, your 1989, Caterpillar with a 2025 Caterpillar. It pays the replacement cost. I forgot to mention that as well.
I see the trailer is still on there. We should probably take that off.
Some of them, and I was gonna ask about that too, but it sounds like it doesn't have to be individually listed. She just needed a reference point, so it doesn't matter what's on that list. I got a note on that stuff too.
Okay.
But when she gave her spiel there, it doesn't matter what's listed here. We can add stuff, subtract stuff, it doesn't matter. This is just a general for her to.
I find that highly irregular.
So the blanket emergency services equipment is anything the EMS has, including trailers, ATVs, drones, that all falls under the blanket portable equipment coverage. The scheduled inland marine is for your equipment that's over 10,000 in value. The blanket miscellaneous tools and equipment is blanket. It's a replacement cost coverage for blanket stuff. So it can cover any item that's under 10,000. So plows, mower decks, hand tools, generators, those kind of things. We don't ask for a list. We just need you to tell us a value, and you have $50,000. We can cover hand tools. It can cover anything that the town owns that's under $10,000 in limit. And then the equipment, there again, you can insure it for the replacement cost, or you can insure it for the value of if you're going to buy another used one. So if there are times where skids are prevalent on, the websites that my husband looks at, and you can pick up a really nice skid at a very decent price, or you can go out and buy a brand new one. You guys get to determine what that value is and what you're going to replace it with. But it does pay replacement cost up to the limit shown.
So we don't have to have each individual truck registered as being insured then.
All right,
It's a blanket.
For under 10,000.
for under 10,000, no, and trucks are autos. They need to be scheduled. Inland marine does not.
That seems to be the biggest discrepancy here. Anybody have any other questions for me?
And any of your equipment, like your graders and that you use to plow roads, they do not need to be on the auto policy, they're on the inland marine. Liability is automatic for your mobile equipment that's used to plow roads.
But you still need a list of the equipment, correct?
At the time of a loss, you're gonna have to tell us what you lost. We don't need the list.
So if we had 10 new snowplow trucks,
That needs to be scheduled because they're plow
That's
trucks.
not- If we plowed with our loader or graders or something like that, those would not need to specifically be listed, correct?
As long as the value is under 10,000.
oh,
Well,
that,
those are all gonna
that's,
fall.
that's what I mean, everything would have to be, everything we have has to be listed.
So the biggest one is the blanket emergency services, the EMS stuff, that's no list. It's
That
all
only
guaranteed.
covers
Yeah,
their
we don't-
trailer
yeah.
and their.
Correct.
No, we don't have value there. Okay. Brian, any questions? Josh, at this time, any questions? Okay. I guess you're up.
I'm up.
Can you state your name, please?
I'm Shane Cornier. I'm an agent of Rural, so I've been with Rural 17 years.
Okay, Shane, thank you.
I actually insure probably about 15 municipalities,
Okay,
some smaller, some medium, some larger. In my 17 years with Rural, I've never seen a cyber claim ever yet.
okay,
So with that said, we do the same thing, okay? We blanket the buildings. There's no co-insurance. And like what she said, if say a building burns up and it's gonna cost you 100 grand more to rebuild it, well, you rob Peter to pay Paul. That's where the blanket comes into the township. So it's a perfect coverage to have to keep everything in line. You know what I mean? So it's, if you don't have a blanket and, you know, there's always a human error. You know, we do, or Brian and I do EDA values on every building. That includes townships, that includes the commercial business I insure. And that EDA value is updated daily by contractors, and rural, that's their Bible. So when I do an evaluation on something, that's pretty much what the claims adjuster is gonna say what it is. Again, we have blanket tools and equipment, which is an agreed value. As we went through last year, agreed value is replacement cost, okay? We do the, let me put this down over here. So we have 50,000, and then we also have portable equipment schedule. And on the deck sheet, I'm a firm believer, it is your filing cabinet, is your viable. Everything that you want covered should be spelled out on your deck sheet so you can actually see it, okay? So that's what we do with the portable equipment schedule. You'll see that the case loader's on there, the Holland with a value, and so on and so on. That would be page number 6 of 10. And then we also schedule the blanket portable rental and emergency watercraft, so we have that scheduled for 125,000. We also have a red hull. We have that scheduled, and these are all replacement cost values because they're agreed values. Just so you know, agreed value is what we're going to pay you for it. Stated value, like in a car, you buy a car, brand new car, you take it off the lot, it's $10,000 loss. And if you have to claim the next day, you're gonna, unless you have, you know, the endorsement for car replacement, you're gonna take it in the shorts. Well, you get gap. But on town policies, we do agreed value, which is replacement cost. We also have public official liability for 5 million. We have also $1 million umbrella that's getting towards the back of the page.
Instead of public official for,
Public official liability is just like the Horton Group has for 5 million.
is that per occurrence or all together?
So our business owner policy for general liability is per occurrence. Our public official liability is claims made, okay?
So that's all together, aggregate.
That's altogether aggregate, yep.
Okay.
So basically, you know, we can pick on claims made compared to old occurrence. I'm telling you, I've done my researches, I've talked to our corporate attorney, and one will say claims made is better, one will say claims made is worse, one will say old occurrence is better, one will say it's tomato. It's a horse apiece, but we do claims made. You're still covered, okay?
Okay.
So the general aggregate is on the township is 10 million. Your per occurrence is 5, and then we have $1 million that overlaps the top of that.
So when you guys are talking, blanket,
Mm-hmm.
are you talking kind of like umbrella?
No, the blanket is for building coverages associated with the township, okay?
So you're saying a blanket would be, anything under that blanket is covered? And is,
For the buildings only. Like for the town hall,
okay,
salt shed,
so what's in it, in them?
that's separate. There's a blanket coverage on the personal property in there too. That would be on second page, and that's 392,233. So we blanket the business personal property as
Okay.
well.
Explain this to me. So a blanket policy on this building
Right.
is,
Replacement.
is it replacement?
It's replacement, yes. Yes, ma'am. Mhm.
Replacement as far as today's cost and built to exactly the same.
That is correct.
Okay, so does that include the furnishings and the,
That's a separate limit. That comes under your business personal property, which we have on the policy for $393,000.
okay, is that standard practice to do a blanket policy?
We've been doing it for townships ever since day one.
Okay,
It's for townships, it should be a standard practice. We used to do it on apartment complexes, say you have apartment complexes all over Plover, Stevens Point, we used to blanket those together. But due to the hail that's been happening the last 3-4 years, companies are not doing it because hail is what kills companies.
yeah.
There's no reinsurance value in it. It's a straight payout, so.
Okay.
But we still do it for towns, municipalities.
So what would be the difference? I'm sorry, I'm asking
No,
all
go
these
ahead.
questions. What would be the difference if I wanted to just, instead of doing a blanket policy, just insure the building?
As an individual for,
Yeah.
location 1, building 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
location 2. You could do it that way. There's actually, on our cost, there's no cost difference to do the buildings separately
Okay.
compared to a blanket. It's the same cost.
Okay.
through.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I keep hearing the terminology blanket, and I'm wondering if
Mhm.
that's like an umbrella policy on my house or what the difference is. Okay.
Basically, from last year's discussion, our policy is similar to theirs, except for a few odd things here. I gave you our enhanced coverages, which includes equipment breakdown, Advantage Plus, cyber.
That's in addition to what's on this policy?
Yes.
Or is that what's in the policy?
That's what's in the policy. We don't break it down on this sheet. So
Okay.
I gave you the extra, what kind of tells
So
you what it does.
I was just kind of
Mhm.
cruising through this and I see it adds employee dishonesty up to $10,000.
Correct.
So if somebody steals money, we're covered up to $10,000 in addition to what we're already
Yes.
covered for?
Hmm.
Okay. And then there's a portable sign on premises
Right.
for 5,000, but are we also covered in here as a,
Yes.
so the
So
sign
it's
is,
it's an addition.
so
too.
it's for the value of the sign plus an additional $5,000 for
Yes.
the maintenance, for
Yep.
the time?
It's an additional too.
Okay. All right.
The biggest thing on here, right, you have pollution coverage on our policy, right? So if you have an overturn and say a truck leaks gas out into a creek, right?
Sure.
So they have it on the equipment breakdown. Okay, equipment breakdown is a separate company. And right here, it says,
Our truck leaks
yes.
into.
Pollution cleanup or removal, 250,000 of coverage for expense associated with cleanup and removal, pollution resulting from equipment breakdown. So equipment breakdown, the language here is kind of weird to understand, but if it's an overture and it's something that happened and the gas spills out, besides rules policy, equipment breakdown comes in and will help clean up the pollution. It'll help restore data on your computers. It's a line item also included in there. For an example, one of my clients, I'll just give you a real quick
Wait,
synopsis.
stop.
Yep, go ahead.
You said also for computers. How does computers come into pollution?
No, I'm just saying that's a part of the equipment breakdown. It also
Okay.
covers data restoration and computer equipment as a result of a breakdown. So that's what's all
Oh,
included in that
okay,
equipment breakdown
okay.
header.
Okay. All right, I got it.
Just to give you an example, okay, lightning's a fickle thing. If it strikes the house, it's covered, okay? Obviously, there's obvious damage. But if lightning strikes across the street and seeks ground on a power pole 200 feet away and exceeds ground to your house, that's a little different situation. So we had a scenario where the lightning struck ground, it buckled 75-foot driveway and blew out everything in its garage. Equipment breakdown came in and paid for it. It was about a $45,000 claim. And that's not a claim that goes on him because it's not rural. It goes on equipment breakdown. So it doesn't come on your loss runs when you want to look for insurance down the road. So the workers' comp, obviously too, we're doing a 17.5% dividend, and it's not a flat dividend. So it's based on losses. So if you have a loss, it goes down. If you have a loss, it goes down. And if you totally have more than $5,600 in losses, you don't get a dividend. So I think your premium, I don't know what your last audited payroll, do we know, Brian? I think the premium is 5,600.
Yeah, good ball.
But it obviously, the state of Wisconsin, the W or CRB, it's all the same. Class codes are the same. So whatever the audit premiums, we can make adjustments on it and go from there.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions? And, Paulette, did you have a chance to look these over?
A little bit,
Did you compare them too?
the best that I could.
Okay,
You know, it would have been helpful if both would have filled out the RFP, kind of make it easier for what one has versus what one hasn't had, but I did notice there's a huge difference though in the cybersecurity. And in all honesty, that's scary.
Mm,
Premiums.
Well,
Or
not
the
so much the
coverage.
premiums, but the amount of coverage, because
okay,
if somebody hacks,
if somebody hacks
Go-
into us, is not our bank covered separate under cyber? Do we not have,
FDIC.
yeah, but also, don't we also have, products in place provided by?
we've got like multi-factor, that type of stuff in there, like, I mean, our
Yeah.
IT's got us set up good with precautions, but so many things that you see with the phishing or, just different.
But then it's on you because you're answering
Yeah,
emails
I'm
and you
extra
shouldn't.
caution.
And you're very,
Yeah.
very cautious.
Yeah.
And they've tried already.
Yeah.
I mean,
We've gotten emails.
Yeah,
Well, who hasn't,
We've
right?
gotten emails with your name at the bottom of it. Terry Rickaby's at the bottom of
Yep.
it. Paulette's
Yep.
at the bottom of
well,
it.
there was
So-
one that, I don't remember which way we got it, but it was one of us asking the other one
It was her-
to cash a check or
her
make a check
asking
for
me.
something. And it was totally not the process we did, so we knew it wasn't
So you-
real,
Right,
but still.
so, yeah, so we are catching,
Yeah, they're bad.
So we have $100,000 of cyber and we can offer up to $1 million,
mhm,
but we have to go through one of our outlets. I have a lady that I insure who actually goes out to municipalities and takes all the paper copies and she turns them into digital. And I give her $1 million of cyber and it's about $300 a year. So subtract what we're charging there, do the difference. That would be how much more it is. I just feel
what does she do exactly?
she actually, she contracts with towns and villages and even counties, and she takes all their paper copies and she turns it all to digital for them.
Oh, I need her name,
I'll get it to you. Mhm, that's what she does.
okay. Okay,
We have seen an uptick in small towns that have had cyber claims. The one thing that this carrier does is when there's a event and or a system that has a issue, they actually notify you. So they're helping prevent. And we've had 3 towns that have the cyber, that have systems that have been hacked because they have critical software issues. And the carrier has notified them and worked with them on the front end to fix it before their IT people were even aware of it.
That's what your insurance
That's
does?
what your insurance has right now.
How come she was not notified then when we got these emails?
It's the software system, the software itself.
Okay,
Phishing emails are still going to happen, and you have the ability to have free phishing training. And they also have resources to help identify and prevent them from getting through. Your IT guy probably has better systems than we do. But like I said, there's one claim going on right now, their IT, their emails, there was a hacker sitting in there.
where is that?
It's in a community, a local community, I can't tell you, but, there is a town. It is sitting, their email, there's been a hacker in there for months. And they've just been watching and waiting, and they're trying to determine how far back it's gone and how many records have been accessed and what has been accessed. And so it's the defense, the forensic IT and defense that is driving the claim cost right now. Because they actually send a team of people out there to start tracking and looking at and trying to determine when the breach happened and what has been exposed since then. And that adds up quickly.
Okay,
So, I mean, just to elaborate, I just went through cyber training. We have to do it twice a year. We have training, we have a host of videos that talk about, what to look for, phishing. It's a pretty extensive training course, and if you guys have not been through it, we have videos on it. It's free to our clients, and it's pretty cool. And how they try to get in, it's something that everybody should take a course on. We do have that.
Could I clarify one thing with your current policy? So your current policy uses a little bit different terminology, and I mean, it's very similar. So our blanket building is you have a bucket of money and you get to use it where you need it across all of your locations. And whether it's personal property or real property or buildings, you have a bucket of 3.4 million. And as an event happens, you get to access that bucket and take out what you need. Agreed value on our world is you and we agree to a value, and that's what you're gonna get paid. So when we look at your inland marine equipment, you're gonna give us a value, we're gonna agree to that value, and we're gonna pay you agreed value. Replacement cost is we are replacing it with new, like high quality material or equipment without depreciation. And then actual cash value is actual cash value. Replacement cost less depreciation equals your actual cash value. So our terminology is just slightly different. I'm not saying that, I just wanted to clarify on this, because if you look at their replacement costs, they're saying agreed value and replacement cost, which is perfectly, a lot of carriers do that. That's not what we have over here. So I didn't want you to mix the terminology up.
I mean, that's where the treatment is. I can see that.
Did you get the bottom line with what the goals were?
Yeah, so,
See if we're on the same page.
just give us a minute here.
This one here is pretty self-explanatory. This one here had to do something, find some of these figures.
Is there a total?
No, I couldn't find an actual total.
I have this,
Yeah, on there.
and then you added,
Yep, I added all these. Yep,
okay.
yep.
And then this one was here.
See, by the time you get all the other policies,
What other one?
well, there's the workman's comp. There was.
Is that not listed?
Not in this. The workman's comp is 6640.
Where'd you find that?
I don't remember.
I got it here. You just added these.
In some of these, well, she was talking 56, so I was right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's.
So what did you, one
I
more?
got 28. 867.
Gross fees.
26.
Yeah.
And the policies, from what I could tell, are the same.
I found a big difference in this. I don't know.
I didn't notice.
I don't know.
We chose the cyber plan we did based on recommendation of IT.
Right. That's probably why
So,
it's less.
let's recoup. Okay, so I think if we understand this insurance jargon correct, I'm gonna let Carl recoup what he found, and you guys can correct us if we're wrong. Start with Horton.
Okay, well, Horton was pretty self-explanatory here. It was, they gave us a grand total of all the policies and stuff. That was pretty, pretty general, right down to what I figured it was. And my total come to 26,130. Is that some for the whole policy, the whole work at the end?
For the public versus bond, notary bond, cyber liability.
The-
workers'
yep,
comp,
the whole-
Added it
yep,
all
everything.
together.
You're right about that.
Okay,
Okay.
so we got 26,130.
26,130.
Okay.
And then on the rural, I had to go digging a little bit for some of the figures, in some of the other parts of the packet. And I come up with a grand total with the, workers' comps, the business endorsement, and the business liability, along with the regular policies, the umbrella policy, all that. I come a grand total of 28,867.
That's incorrect.
Okay, what did you have?
What do we need to?
What do we need to change?
The business owner's policy is at 16,312, add on 5,600 for the workers' comp.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the grand total.
Okay, what about the business endorsement, the business?
Those are free. Those are built into this.
Because there were some figures there.
Let me see. What's that? Can you show, what did you have? I have 55, so it's in
How about we
here.
make it easy? If we look at our package of 17,889 plus the work comp would equal their package plus the work comp. The
The
cyber's
bid.
separate, the
The-
bonds are separate.
Yep.
So you could just use those two figures to determine premium.
What do you mean the cyber is separate? Their cyber is included.
The cyber on ours for 100 grand is included.
Yeah, this is included.
Can I come up? Is that okay?
Sure.
And,
So this is the total of our
Right.
business owners.
Yep.
And then the workers' comp is 5,600.
Right.
So you gotta add those two together.
Yep.
Public official bond, blanket bonds, tax collector bond, well, if you see an surety, and they're all pretty much relatively the same.
So those are already provided in your,
No, I just, because until I get to see what you want,
so public officials bond, you don't provide, the notary bond,
we do.
you do, it's in here.
It's included?
No, it's a separate
Okay, that's
cost.
what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
It's a separate cost.
Notary bond is separate cost,
Yep,
and workman's comp, we have,
you have 5,600
and then the cyber liability, you said is included in yours up to
up to
100,000.
100, yeah.
Which
And
is
there's a-
17 here.
Yeah, that's the biggest, it's all about the cyber. Are you guys getting this?
So I think our cyber coverage on there was 242 a year at 100 grand. And if I remember through our outlet to do $1 million in cyber, it was about 350 a year.
How much?
It's 350. So I would take 150 plus the 242 that's already for the 100.
Plus the what?
Plus another 100, you said? Yes.
So basically, if we wanted to raise our cyber to $1 million, right now on our policy for 100, it's costing 242 a year.
Right,
And I believe that client that I told you about, she's got $1 million in coverage. I believe it's almost 400.
so we'd add 300 more
Another
that.
300.
Yeah.
to get the equal cyber coverage.
Yes.
But
Well,
the other
You
thing
have
is,
Not equal,
million.
because we're at 2 million now.
Yeah.
2 million versus $1 million.
okay. So you'd have to add another 400 to get another million. So that's another 400. to
And another
that. So what do you got, Sharon? I'll let you have. I'll leave it. Do you guys see anything else?
Well, I'm just waiting for the numbers.
Make me do it.
I can do it. Sorry.
Okay, 22, 652.
But then that still doesn't add on all the other bonds, correct?
Public official bond,
You could use the same
22.
310, it's gonna be the same.
it's gonna be the same.
It's same thing with notary bond.
Mhm.
Bond premiums don't really vary much
22
from carrier to
says-
carrier.
They don't.
So it's a.
Yeah, so it's,
So that'd be another 330 on top of that. Another
From what I understand, workman's comp,
It's the same
it should
too.
be the same between the
It's-
two.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
telling me
it's real.
5,600 and this is 6181.
61.
So
We
where are we
didn't-
coming
we
up with
didn't-
that difference?
Yeah, so we didn't get the
22,900.
last audited payroll,
The
so
request for proposal had the last audited payroll
Did it-
in it,
did
and
it have it
that's
there?
what we,
I don't.
Then we use that number if that's the
it was in the packet.
Whatever package you gave us, that number we used.
you can do whatever you
Yeah.
want.
I'm gonna make a motion to go with Horton Group. I think it's, the information is straightforward, more understandable, and what we requested. So, motion's out there. Anybody wants to second it?
I,
You don't?
I have a motion by Chase to go with Horton at, what was the total? 26,130 versus Rural Mutual at 22,982. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Is that a yes, Josh, or no?
Well, my total from rural was 23,042 that I came up with, but
Okay,
Include bonds or anything on there?
I don't believe so. And
Okay.
that's, I mean, that's.
we did have the
majority of what
bonds.
we're- I'll second Chase's motion.
To go with Horton? Okay, I have a motion by Chase and a second by Josh. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion passes. Horton gets the job. Next year, I would advise Rural Mutual to fill out that sheet ahead of time.
Yeah,
The request for proposals really does help us understand. We're not professionals in this.
right.
And making sure we understand, or
Yeah,
you can
that-
tick off what the differences are.
I evaluated that request for proposal, and to me, it's more for a city
Yeah,
in
I'll
a,
just
in a,
email,
in a
I'll
in a
document
county,
you what.
not
Okay,
for
perfect.
municipalities.
Just, well, then just fill out what is applicable and leave
I'll
what
do that.
isn't.
Keep in
I
mind,
would
we've got the
appreciate it.
population of small cities here.
We do.
and it's-
Mhm.
Yeah,
Not a problem.
Yeah, but it would have helped. immensely.
Sure.
That was better. Just,
All right, guys.
thank you very much. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
I don't know, that fiber thing. I got-
Thank you, guys. Thank
Yep,
you.
thanks.
I don't
I think we're undercover.
know.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We don't-
You're welcome.
It's just, we don't do a lot of that.
You were.
All
Can you
right,
please state in that motion that because we were, because Horton Group received what we had asked for?
Okay,
Because that's, we need, if we take a higher bid, we do need to justify.
did we send them both that sheet though?
Yes, both were sent the request for proposals, correct?
yes. Mhm.
All right, moving on. The Coosa School District information on April, this school district referendum. Is anyone here? From the Coosa Schools? All right,
Roger's son is.
all right, Invenergy information on Saratoga Solar.